contemplating on some of the contemplations from the other day. We were at a Blue Rock Temple, and I got to talking, got to thinking, and that's one of the key words here. As I was musing on this notion that the seemingly insane shifts that are happening in the mainstream news with certain celebrities and certain politicians and certain shifts and certain things, I see all this as a game and like part of a show. And the way as I referred to in the wilderness the other day, I believe that the goings on in the mainstream media right now are a diversionary tactic that are leading us into some sort of deception. And in other words, some kind of hopium drug that is being administered now simply through the mainstream by seeming to come forth with all these drastic seeming changes. And I see this as a direct connection to Pluto's entrance into Aquarius in the sense of it being a mental sign, Aquarius being fixed air. And this is because Pluto has been teetering on the edge of cardinal Earth and fixed air. Cardinal, physical and mental, physical and mental, dealing with the root of the structures. But now it's starting to float into the realm of that collective consciousness. And let's not forget what Pluto is all about. It is the destroyer, and it must destroy before it can rebuild and rebirth. And what I believe must occur first, and in fact what we are going through now, is this process whereby everything that we think in a collective sense, in a mainstream sense, the mass majority, the consensus reality, and I may have used that word the other day when I was on the Hill. This is critical. I believe in my heart deeply and almost fearfully so that what is happening right now as Pluto edges into the early degrees is that right now everything that's happening is like a total flippy-floppy, and everybody's idea of what they thought was real is about to be turned on its head. But what they're thinking is the change, is the disruption, the distraction, to get them to think that that's what's happening. But what's really coming is like some completely, in other words, our heads are being messed with. To put it simply, in a juvenile way, they're messing with our heads. They're messing with our heads. That's what they're doing. It is the collective consciousness being, well, it's the collective consciousness being wrecking bald. And I've been warning about this, to be fair, so that it can be reborn, to live in conscious truth and conscious nature and conscious godliness. And therefore, what's manifesting in the matrix, in all of its seeming weirdness, and it is weirdness, what I'm saying is it's a bit of weirdness on purpose. They are messing with our heads. The matrix is messing with our heads. The devil is messing with our heads. The media is messing with our heads. It's all head, because it's Aquarius now. It is the fixed air of the collective mental. We must come to a consensus of the truth. In 20 years, we must come to a new consensus of what is true and what is real. And it must finally manifest in this insane Jetsons reality, this CNN, YouTube, Google reality we live in. This social media madness. It must all be unraveled. And what is happening in the mainstream media is like, oh my God, this is happening. This person's coming out. This person's coming together with whom? And that person's doing this. And this person's changing their mind about that. And that person just gave an interview with whom? And no one ever would have thought, well, yes, no one ever would have thought all of our thinking is being brought into question. The matrix is causing this. The collective, the cycle of the cosmos is causing this. But through the devil's matrix, as I talk about in other videos in more depth, its imposition is using that energy to mess with our heads. Both are happening at once. And therefore, we must be very careful in how we discern. We must not accept the face value just because it looks like this drastic change. This is a deception and a distraction. The real change that is coming is when the human collective finally comes into a collective understanding of the actual truth and not what they are told to believe by the mainstream, by the government, by the media, by the television, by the Hollywood, by the church, by the school. Aquarius wants us to come to a new reality of God, pure and simple. And what is happening right now is our heads being messed with. And this is what I was referring to when I mentioned this fact that so many people are really elated right now. And so many people are really depressed, kind of oppositely so. Because I think certain people are taking the reality as the media is giving them and accepting it as real, which is what many people mostly do. And if that many people vote in an election and think that elections matter, then that's going to be the reality of the case. I mean, they must, if people still think elections are real, then that means that many people are believing that what the mainstream is telling them is real, because elections aren't real, not in the way we think they are. If our vote counted, they wouldn't let us do it. And therefore, they just give us a fake version of a vote that doesn't really count. And they just lead us to believe that it does count. This is my humble opinion on that matter. And I stress the term humble. If our votes counted, they would not let us do it. People that the rulers are the most afraid of are the people who don't vote at all. And that number is increasing. How can they pick our brains if they don't know what we are thinking? Every time we vote, we tell them what we are thinking in some way, in a very big way. One way that we are telling them that is that we are telling them straight up that we still believe what they're saying on some level by voting. Listen, that's something which is a big deal. And then, of course, how we react and respond to all the false flags and all the psyops and all the gatekeepers that they throw at us year after year. And then the ones that stick around and earn legitimacy in the public, and they use them, and I don't want to name names here. It's not that kind of channel, I guess. I don't know. But just because I'm a yogi doesn't mean I don't have opinions about such things. In fact, I believe it is we yogis who should chime in a little more often about such things. Some of us yogis have perspective that more people need to hear, perhaps. In a more frank context, I would say, standing here at the end of November, just before Thanksgiving in America in 2024, just having survived another election, I was just talking about voting and seeing the reaction from the people of this country. I was pretty convinced very quickly that the actual election itself, that very day, the so-called victory and the so-called loss, whatever that is, that drama that is always built up to for months and months and months, was a very anticlimactic phenomenon on purpose. I believe that the anticlimactic sort of feeling of all of that was quite intentional, in the sense that something very climactic and very dramatic is coming, and something very strange could be happening between now and so-called Inauguration Day in 2025. I don't think everything is set in stone. And I don't think that what is going on in the so-called media coverage of the new person coming in, who was the old person, is actually true at all. I don't think much of that's very real. I think a lot of that is ruse, distraction, weirdness. Not to say that people shouldn't be calling out what they disagree with and what they don't like about what they think is happening. That is always important to do. I just don't think much of it's very real. I think they're putting on a show. I think it's been a show for a very long time. And we need to think with 4D and 5D discernment in order to get out of this mess. Because it is a spiritual war. It is a spiritual war. Whether we like it or not. We must grow in spirit. We must grow in that spiritual maturity, which we did not learn at school. And guess what? We didn't learn it in many churches, in most churches. And we didn't learn it in life. And we didn't learn it at the bars and at the theaters. We got to go out and do that ourselves, so we can become the warrior to fight that battle, because it's not a political battle. It's not a financial battle. It's not even a psychological and emotional battle. It's a spiritual one, just like St. Paul said. Just like St. Paul said. Right there in his letters. And he was right. That battle has been waging for centuries, millennia. As long as the devil has been around, the devil's been around for a long time. As long as the human family has been struggling on this earth, the devil has been here messing with us, because our souls are so precious. They are so precious. And the devil knows this. Fallen force and its minions knows how precious we are to God, and the advancement of God's very mind itself through us, through our trials and struggles and our glorious accomplishments and our survivals, our incredible survivals, the things that we have survived, man. The shit that we have survived. The moments we have been on our knees praying to God to bring us out of this tribulation. The hours of joy, tears, laughter, struggle, stress, is all part of the expansion of the mind of God. And the devil wants to squash that expansion forever and lead us into darkness. The animals already figured it out. We haven't. But we're getting there, yo. We're going to get there. We got 20 years to figure it out. We might have a chance. Pluto's going to help us. It's going to hurt. And I'm going to help you.